We needed the money more than you needed a car, my father said after secretly selling my vehicle to pay for his stay at a luxury resort. I didn't argue, but when he returned, his perfect life had disappeared. I never thought I'd be one of those people who vent online about their life. But after what happened, I need to write it down somewhere before I explode. I'm 26 years old, I work in a Siberian warehouse, and I'm the kind of person who keeps their head down, does their shifts, and doesn't get involved in other people's business. I don't live lavishly, just a small apartment, a reliable secondhand 2016 black seat Leon, and a fridge that usually has more takeout containers than fresh food. But hey, I pay my own bills, and that's more than I can say for my parents. My parents have never been poor, they just act like they are when it's convenient. We can't afford that right now, they'd say when I needed school supplies, and then go out to dinner at a steakhouse that same night. Money is tight, they'd tell me while planning their next vacation. They've always been this way, and I should have known I couldn't trust them. The day my car disappeared last Monday, I left work exhausted, ready to drive home, maybe grab a burger on the way. I walked to the parking lot, pulled out my keys, and nothing. My car wasn't there. At first, I thought maybe I'd left it somewhere else. After a long shift at the warehouse, my brain was fried. But after 5 minutes wandering around the parking lot, I knew. Stolen it had to be. I called the police, pacing back and forth while giving them the details. It's a black 2016 Seat Leon license plate. Sir, the officer interrupted me. It wasn't stolen. It was sold. What? The phone almost fell out of my hand. The vehicle was legally sold by the registered owner. My stomach lurched. There must be a mistake. That car is mine. I paid for it myself. The title is under Fernando Lopez. The emptiness in my stomach grew larger. The night before, I had left my car at their house. Just for one night. My apartment complex had temporarily posted no parking signs for some construction work, so I thought it would be safe there. But I should have known better. My father. I stood there in the parking lot, feeling my heart pounding. I bought that car when I was 20, but because I needed a co-signer for the loan, my father's name was on the title. I always intended to transfer it to my name once I finished paying it off. But life got in the way and I never thought I let out a bitter laugh. No, I shouldn't have expected any different. A coworker gave me a ride home, and I spent the entire way with my fists clenched. When I walked through the door, my parents weren't even home. I pulled out my phone and dialed my mom's number. Voicemail. My father the same. Then I opened Facebook because of course they had to be at a luxury resort. I scrolled through their posts, and there they were lounging by a pool, frozen drinks in hand, my father's arm around my mother like they were a millionaire couple. My mother had even posted a caption. Much needed getaway. #Wola. When they returned a week later, the front door swung open, and my parents walked in like nothing had happened. My father stretched, rolling his shoulders, his tan darker, his shirt new and perfectly ironed, his suitcase thumping against the hardwood floor. He barely glanced at me when he spoke. We needed the money more than you needed a car, he said matter-of-factly, as if he were talking about borrowing a sweater. You'll figure it out, Rodrigo. Life. I let out a short, humorless laugh. Oh well, as long as you had a good time. Don't be dramatic, my father sighed, tossing his wallet on the counter. You can take the bus for a while. Won't kill you. I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. You sold my only mode of transportation just to drink overpriced cocktails on the beach? Watch your tone, he warned, finally looking at me. We're family, Rodrigo. We help each other out. You don't see us complaining when we pay for food. You mean the food I buy? I countered. He waved his hand dismissively. Like you still live here, my father scoffed. You're always coming over. Because you keep forgetting to forward my mail and using my name for the house bills. I snapped. I let out a bitter laugh. I moved out 3 years ago. My mother paused as if she had just remembered. Exhaling, she placed 2 fingers to the bridge of her nose. You didn't even call me. You didn't ask. You just sold it. Like my job doesn't matter. Like I don't matter. It's just a car, my father mumbled, already bored with the conversation. You'll get another one. And that was the moment something inside me broke. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just nodded and said, yeah, I'll figure it out. The confrontation the morning after my parents returned, I decided to confront them. I drove to their house, my heart pounding with rage. The minute I stepped inside, my father turned to me with an annoyed expression. Oh, look who it is. Still sulking. I crossed my arms. We need to talk. He stood there, arms crossed, a tan leftover from his luxurious vacation. Really? Spending the whole week moaning about that car. I blinked. Moaning? Yes. Look at you walking around like you've lost a limb. It's just a car, Rodrigo. He smirked as if this whole thing were a joke. You'll get another one. I gritted my teeth. That stupid car got me to work. Got me money. Sometimes my boss would ask me to make deliveries when drivers called out sick. That was extra cash. Good cash. And I was saving up. But I guess you needed that money more than I did. No, my father rolled his eyes. You're exaggerating. It's not that we needed the money. We deserved it. I felt my hands clench into fists. Oh, is that how it works? You just take what you think you deserve. We're family, Rodrigo. His tone changed like he was talking to a child who didn't understand anything. Family helps each other out. Do you think raising you was free? All those years of food, clothes, school? Those things aren't cheap. I stared at him. Are you seriously telling me I owe you something just for existing? Don't be like that, he huffed. It's just that we've done so much for you, and you can't even let one thing go. One car. I let out a dry, humorless laugh. That's when my mother walked into the room, a shopping bag in hand. Honey, are you still upset? She sighed. Come on, we got you something. She pulled out a wooden keychain. One of those generic souvenirs with a name engraved on it. Except it wasn't even my name. Look, a little piece of paradise just for you. She smiled. And you're still mad about a car? I looked at the keychain, then at them. And then I saw what my mother had behind her back. Another bag. A sleek black bag with gold lettering. Louis XIII Cognac. A $3,000 bottle of brandy. I knew exactly who it was for. Uncle Javier. My father's older brother. You bought a $3,000 bottle of alcohol, I said slowly. But my car was expendable? My father grinned smugly. Come on. It's not the same. Javier always helps us out. You mean lends you money every time you blow through all of yours? His grin disappeared. My mother sighed. Rodrigo, stop. You're acting like we robbed you. I looked at them, feeling the rage boiling in my blood. You did rob me. My father scoffed. We're family. We do things for each other. I took a deep breath, trying to remain calm, even though my hands were shaking from how tightly I was clenching them. When have you ever done anything for me? He frowned. Don't start that again. No, seriously. I stepped closer. Tell me. When have you helped me? Silence. Then my father waved a hand as if he were tired of the topic. Oh, stop being so spiteful. You'll get another car. That was it. I exhaled, shaking my head. You know what? You're right, Dad. My father grinned again. Finally seeing reason. Yes, I cut him off. Finally. I see. I looked him directly in the eyes, my voice firm. This is over. His grin faltered. What's over? Me being your safety net. Over. Paying your bills when you accidentally forget them. Over. Bailing you out when you overspend on vacations and gifts for other people. I'm not giving you another cent. My mother's face crumpled. Rodrigo. Don't be like this. I didn't let her interrupt. Fix this mess yourselves. I turned and walked out, leaving them standing there. I didn't know what they were going to do, but I knew one thing for certain. Their days of luxury were over. The blow-up, I didn't have to wait long for the blow-up. At 6 a.m. sharp, I was awakened by a pounding on my apartment door. Not a knock. Pounding. I already knew who it was. I rolled out of bed, exhaling, and flung open the door. My mother and father. My father barged in, pushing past me like he owned the place. Get dressed. We need to talk. My mother followed, arms crossed, lips pressed in a tight line. Rodrigo, this has gone too far. I rubbed my temples. You do realize it's barely dawn, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Are we bothering you? My father snapped sarcastically. Funny because we just found out you plan on abandoning us. I blinked. Abandoning you? My mother sighed dramatically. You can't just cut ties with your parents, Rodrigo. That's not how families work. I walked to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, and leaned against the counter. Families don't sell each other's belongings behind their backs either. But here we are. My father's face darkened. We needed that money. I needed that car. My voice came out louder than I intended, but I didn't care anymore. It wasn't just my way to get to work. You know, my boss pays extra for employees who can make deliveries. That car was helping me earn money. And you, I exhaled sharply. You sold it like it was a useless piece of junk at a yard sale. My father rolled his eyes. Enough already. We're going to fix this right now. You can't just leave us without support. Oh no. I tilted my head. And how exactly do you plan on stopping me? We're family, Rodrigo. And families take care of each other, my mother said in a soft voice, as if she thought she could still manipulate me into backing down. You don't want to regret this later, do you? I let out a short laugh, shaking my head. No. But maybe you will. My father frowned. What's that supposed to mean? I picked up my phone and opened my banking app. Let's talk about the car you sold. My parents exchanged a look. What about it? My father asked, his tone suddenly more cautious. I turned the screen to face them. Remember who made every single payment? Silence. I paid every installment every month directly from my account. And I have every record to prove it. My mother's face paled. Legally, the car was in your name. But financially, that car was mine. And since you sold my property without my consent, I smiled coldly, I can take you to court and get every penny back. My father's nostrils flared. You wouldn't. I have legal proof. His fist slammed hard against the kitchen counter. You're selfish. We raised you. We fed you. Gave you a home. And this is how you repay us. Don't flatter yourselves. You didn't raise me. You tolerated me until I was old enough to earn money. My mother finally snapped out of her shocked state. Rodrigo, please. Don't do this. You wouldn't sue your own parents, would you? I don't know. You didn't hesitate to steal from your own son. So I guess anything is possible. My father's face turned bright red. You wouldn't dare take us to court. I exhaled slowly, keeping my tone steady. Then give me my money back. More silence. My mother shifted uncomfortably. Honey, we can't. Why? I asked even though I already knew the answer. My father clenched his jaw. Because the money's gone. Of course it was. Thousands of euros. Gone. I chuckled dryly. You're unbelievable. My father took a step forward, lowering his voice. You're going to drop this nonsense and forget about the money. No, Dad, I said, matching his tone. Either you pay me back, or I take you to court and let a judge decide. My father opened his mouth but didn't say anything. My mother looked like she was about to cry. Rodrigo, please. We're your parents. Yes, I replied coldly. And you should have acted like it. I grabbed my keys and my phone and walked to the door. Where are you going? My mother called after me. To talk to a lawyer. And I walked out. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. The unexpected visitor that night. Someone knocked on my door. I opened it expecting to see my dad, maybe my mom. But it was Uncle Javier. And he didn't look happy. I wasn't expecting Uncle Javier to show up on my doorstep that night. But when I opened the door, there he was. Immaculate suit, perfectly knotted tie, cold and serious expression. I leaned against the doorframe. Let me guess. They sent you. He exhaled sharply. Yes. I stepped aside. Come in then. Javier walked in and set his expensive leather briefcase on my dining table, as if we were about to negotiate a multi-million-dollar contract. He looked at me with that same authority he always had at family gatherings, the one that said, I'm in charge. I'm the voice of reason. Rodrigo, he began. Your father is devastated. Your mother's been crying for hours. You really told them you'd sue. I sat down. Yes, I did. Javier rubbed his temples. God. Over a car. I let out a dry chuckle. No, Javier. Not over a car. Over the fact that they stole from me. Over the fact that I've been paying their bills for years while they spend money like drunken teenagers. Over the fact that they sold the one thing that was actually mine without so much as a phone call. He nodded slowly like he was expecting that answer. I get it. They crossed a line. But you know they don't have the money, right? I smiled wryly. Then they can get jobs. Javier blinked, as if the idea had never occurred to him. Rodrigo, come on. Your father's over 50. Your mother hasn't worked in years. I shrug. Seems like a personal problem. Javier sighed, frustrated. You're not being realistic. Oh, I'm being extremely realistic. Here's what's going to happen. Either they find a way to pay me back or I take them to court. And before you start with a speech about family, just so you know, I have proof. Every bank transaction, every payment. I paid every single installment on that car. It was mine regardless of whose name was on the title. Javier let out a slow sigh and rubbed the back of his neck. Then he picked up his briefcase and put it back on the table. Look, I know they made a huge mistake. And I'm not asking you to forgive them. Then why are you here? Because this lawsuit will ruin them. He exhaled. I can cover half of what they owe you. But you have to drop the case. I leaned back against the table, considering the offer. And if I say no? Then they'll lose everything. I smiled grimly. Sounds fair to me. That'll force them to fix their mess. Javier's jaw tightened. He looked at me silently for a long moment and finally spoke. You're right. That took me by surprise. Your father has always been irresponsible with money, and your mother enables him. I've bailed them out more times than I can count. But this, he shook his head. This is serious. I crossed my arms. Then why are you still trying to get me to back down? Because they're your family, Rodrigo. If you take them to court, it's over. There's no going back. I tilted my head. And why would I want to go back to a family that steals from me? Javier exhaled in frustration, shaking his head. You know your father is so desperate he even asked me for a loan. That made me laugh. Let me guess. You told him no. Javier shot me a look. Of course I told him no. I'm not throwing my money into a bottomless pit. Then why should I? He had no answer for that. I picked up my phone from the counter, opened my banking app, and turned the screen towards him. Every payment, Javier. For 3 years. It all came from my account. He barely glanced at it before sighing. Okay, I get it. You have a case. But what do you really want? I leaned against the counter. My money. And if they can't pay? I shrugged. Not my problem. Javier let out another long sigh, like he was carrying the weight of the entire situation. Rodrigo, listen. I cut him off. No, Javier. You listen. They've used me my entire life. Every time they ran out of money, I was the first one they called. Every time I helped them, it was never enough. They robbed me, and you think the solution is for me to just let it go? No. He didn't respond. This is over. Me being their backup plan is over. If they didn't want to face consequences, they shouldn't have sold what didn't belong to them. Javier ran a hand over his face. Seriously. I crossed my arms. We're done here. Javier grabbed his briefcase, muttering something under his breath as he headed for the door. But before he left, he turned back to me one last time. If you do this, Rodrigo, you're not just pushing them away. The whole family will turn against you. I smiled grimly. Already did. And with that, I closed the door behind him. The collapse begins the next day. The calls started. Not just from my parents but other relatives too. Aunt Marta. Rodrigo dear, your mother says you're trying to ruin them. Is it true? Cousin Andres. Dude, are you suing your own parents? Are you serious? Grandma Rosa. My darling, please don't do this. They made a mistake, but they're still your family. I ignored every single call. Then at 8 p.m. the text started. Mom? Rodrigo, please. We'll figure something out. Dad. If you do this to us, you're dead to me. Mom. Please don't ruin our lives. I stared at that last message, then typed a single reply. You ruined your own lives the moment you robbed me. And I turned off my phone. The negotiation attempt. A week later, my lawyer texted me. They're trying to negotiate. You want to hear their offer? I smirked. Let's see what they have to say. An hour later, I was sitting across from Mr. Ramirez in his office. He slid a piece of paper across the table, barely containing his laughter. "This is their offer." I picked it up and read it. 200. They sold my car for thousands. Mr. Ramirez shrugged. "I guess they think that's what your suffering is worth." I tossed the paper back onto the table. "Tell them to forget about it. We're going to trial." The trial, I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but let's just say it was humiliating for them. My lawyer came prepared. Bank statements, loan payment receipts, even the final letter from the lender showing that I, not my parents, had paid off the car in full. Meanwhile, their defense? "But we're his parents." Spoiler. That doesn't work in a court of law. In less than 20 minutes, the judge ruled in my favor. The aftermath: the court ordered my parents to pay me the full market value of the car, plus additional damages for the financial loss and emotional distress. And the best part? They had 60 days to pay or face wage garnishment and liquidation of their assets. My mother gasped. "They're going to take our house." My father's face was red as a tomato. "This is *T. The judge didn't even flinch. That is the ruling. Court adjourned. I walked out of the courtroom feeling lighter than I had in years. Outside, my mother caught up with me and grabbed my arm. Her eyes were red, her voice shaky. "Rodrigo, please. We don't have that money. This is going to ruin us." I pulled my arm away. "You should have thought about that before you robbed me." My father stormed out behind me, seething. "All you think about is yourself. We're your parents, and you?" I turned around and finally let it all out. "You did this to yourselves. Both of you. You used me for years. Manipulated me with guilt. Took my money like it was your right. You thought I would never stand up for myself. Well, guess what? I did. And now you have to live with it." My mother broke down into even harder sobs. "Rodrigo, we're going to lose our house." For the first time in my life, I felt nothing. No guilt. No second thoughts. Just peace. "Then get jobs." And with that, I walked away. Is it wrong that I don't feel anything? So Reddit, that's it. I won. My parents are desperate. They tried borrowing from other relatives, but no one wants to help. I heard through Uncle Javier that they're on the verge of ruin. Part of me thought I would feel guilty. That I would regret this. But I don't. Feel free. Does that make me a bad person? Or did I just do what I should have done years ago? What do you guys think? Final update. The aftermath: it's been 3 months since the ruling. My parents lost. And lost ugly. At first, they tried to ignore the ruling, hoping I'd back down. But guess what? The legal system doesn't work that way. The wage garnishment kicked in, and suddenly a chunk of their income was being deducted every month. Then came the final blow. They lost the house. Turns out they took out a loan last year, using the house as collateral, to fund their ridiculous lifestyle. With their reduced income and no savings, they couldn't keep up with the payments. One day, Uncle Javier texted me, "Your parents are officially moving out. Hope it was worth it." I stared at the phone and finally replied, "It was." The last manipulation attempt: a few weeks later, my mother called me. I didn't answer. Then came the texts: "Mom. Rodrigo, please. We're losing everything. I don't know where we're going to live. Mom. Can we just talk? For 1 minute. Mom. We're your parents. Do we really mean nothing to you?" Then came the text from my father: "Dad. I'm disappointed in you. You ruined this family. I hope you're proud of yourself. You evil person." Yes, really touching. I didn't reply to any of them. Where are they now? From what I've heard through relatives, my parents are now living in a small rundown apartment in a town a few miles from here. No more luxury vacations. No more fancy restaurant dinners. No more expensive gifts for people who aren't me. Uncle Javier stopped bailing them out. The rest of the family? Barely anyone talks to them anymore. Once they realized my parents had been using them for money, they backed away quickly. Now my parents are where I am. Now, I bought myself a new car. A better one. One that's entirely mine this time. I've started saving for a house. For me. Not to fund anyone else's irresponsible spending habits. For the first time in my life, I don't feel like I'm carrying the weight of 2 other people's mistakes. I'm free. And I regret nothing. Final reflection: am I wrong? So Reddit, this is where it all ends. My parents ruined their own lives. I just stopped saving them from the consequences. Does that make me cold? Maybe. But frankly, I don't care.